Hey everyone, it's Cynthia with Including You Journals. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I have been inspired by Engelbelle, E-N-G-E-L-B-E-L-L-E, to create some watercolor leaves that I might outline with ink and used in a journal at a later time. So I wanted to bring you along with me. I am not an artist, so let me say that up front. I searched this house over. If you have followed me at all, you know that I am in a borrowed home for a few more months in the transition of moving to a home. I'm house sitting, and so I couldn't even find my good art brushes. I thought, well, let's just go ahead and do this anyway. So I have a Dollar Tree paint tray, watercolor paint tray, a cheap watercolor brush. I don't know why we make these things for children. They can't do anything with them. I have a hard time doing anything with them. You need a good paintbrush for this, but I'm going to show you anyway what I have done and create a few with you. Also, in the meantime, I'm adding a little bit more water to this lid here, where my paints are starting to dry. Okay, so what I've done is I've made sure that my brush was really full of water and that I have water in my paints and water on my tray. And this is just a lid from a whipped cream canister. And I have very much loosely watered these leaves that you can already see. And I'm going to paint just a couple while you're with me. In case you two are not an artist, I just want to show you what you can do. Now, because this is not a good brush, it's not retaining the water to pull onto the page. I'm having to just continue to go back and load it. And then once I put it on there, I can draw the watercolor up and down the leaf. And that's what I am doing. And then I'm going to mix in a little more blue because I want my colors to change. My leaves are not going to be the same color, even in the same plant. I'm going to have some variations in newness of leaves, sun getting to a leaf. For photosynthesis, I'm not worried that that outline is a little bit crazy right there. Well, yes, I am, because even though I'm going to go over it with ink, I'm not going to miss that. So we'll just have an odd kind of a shape, and that's okay right there too. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little more blue in with this because I want even more blue tones. And then again, I'm putting that water and color down, and then I'll pull it back up and through. So yes, if you had a good paintbrush, this trick is wonderful. Now, I'm not using any kind of watercolor paper. I am using cheap Dollar Tree index cards as well. The reason being is it gives me just a little bit of heft. I told you I'm not an artist, so I didn't go purchase any good watercolor paper. I know there is such a thing, but I simply wanted to be able to just make some things and see, is this something that I want to invest in? And how well is it going to actually do? And could someone else who feels like they too are not artists create the same kinds of things? Certainly, I think both of us can. And Miss Engelbelle, I'm sorry, I don't know her name. I don't know if her name is Engelbelle or if that is particularly her shop name. She may be named Belle, I don't know. I did not, I did try to look for a few replies in there and even listen to something that where she might say her name, but I just didn't hear it. So I apologize for not knowing more about that. And now, I want to show you something that she did that I really liked too, and that was she came in with colors not unlike what she had in the leaf, but colors that would go well with it, that might be blue and green or yellows and greens. and she just dropped a little bit of color like this, and she went down one side, and I really do like that too, and I like how it dried. And I will vary my colors as I go through here, mixing what I have to give a little odd kind of fun. And this is, when we do the dots, this is more a little more folk artsy, and I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. Everything doesn't have to be done so artistically. And the water is causing the paint to puddle and to run and to bleed. That's okay too. We're going to mark that off in a few minutes with ink. And again, I think the more water that we add to that, the better it is. And those in the back were dry, so I'm pulling another dry one forth. This one is dry, and it's one of the ones I just created, and you can see some of the water really help absorb the paint into the other paint that was there, because it was already so wet. I like that. That's going to give a good effect too, but you'll see in a minute how both of those are done. And you'll see, if you like, also, this is the dry, the ones that are dry. And I'm putting the wet paint now onto the dry ones. Yes, it still runs and bleeds. Yes, it still absorbs somewhat, but not like it does when you're putting wet on wet. How fun is that? And you know what? Where this is sort of absorbed in here, I'm going to come back and put a blue over top of that yellow. It may completely mix in there. I don't know if I like that or not. Wonder what will happen if I go back and do yellow again. Let's just try it and see. You can see from what I'm doing what you want to do or not do. But, you know, I just encourage you, go get some paint and play. I think this was $1.25 at the dollar store, at the, what is that, Dollar Tree. So if you have a Dollar Tree near you or something and you want to play, I encourage you, play. It's fun to play, you know? Some things that we haven't done in a while for ourselves, maybe. Oh my goodness, am I going to like that darker blue? I don't know. Let's see. Look at that. Whoa. So I wish I had some more of those, and we're going to create some right here. Yeah, I like that. And that's how you figure out what you like and what you don't like. You just try and play. Yes, it's running down there because that was water on water. That's okay. I'm going to come in here and do the same thing over all this blob that I did with the yellow and the green. I didn't like how that turned out, even though I'm sure it will be okay, but I like that blue now. That looks pretty good. Okay, so this yellow and green looks okay. All right, now let me show you how you can use this in a journal, or some ways that, oh, wait a minute, let me show you one more thing. Let me show you a rose, because she showed this when she was doing it. She showed other kinds of, like 5 petals, where she did something fun too. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here, and that rose is gonna be tighter in the center, and then it just goes out. And where I can't control how much paint is on this brush because it's not a good brush, you see me going back in and doing some extras. I'm even gonna come in and add a little bit of purple color to that, just to kind of put some colors in there. Okay, and just one more for good measure. And I think she kind of went out and even did some something that was sort of what do you call that? Not so perfect. Okay, so here we have it. Let's see what we can do with those kinds of things. So I will tell you this, she used gouache where I use watercolor, and I use cheap watercolor too. Not to mention, I use cheap brush everything. Well, my paint, when I used my ink pen, and she used, I believe she used a Uniball. That's what I used. I chose a Uniball, and she did 2 lines. So I did a double line going around the center tighter and then kind of making an odd mark out and then tracing out from there. But when my pen went through the paint, you can see here how light this is and light this is. It's not because I had a heavy and a light. It's because the ink pen literally chipped off the paint. So if you don't like that, you need to be aware that that's going to happen. But let me show you how I would then use that in a journal. So I let these dry. I'm going to have to move them out of the way because I'm afraid I'll put something down into the paint. Sorry for the reach. So I have a trifold book page here from Edith Holden, and here is one of the flowers, and I did start with purple and added some pinks. I would go in here and draw a stem, and I need to do this offline. I can't do this while I'm videotaping because I'll never get it right, and maybe put in some green as a line just right on the paper, and then I have some, look how pretty. I don't know if you like that or not. I'm going to call it artsy fartsy, again, because I'm not an artist. Someone who is an artist would do this and do way much better than I do. But look at something different that we could add as a journal flip into a journal. And that's exactly what I would do with this. I would just simply find a journal page where I could put this into my journal, and I would have a flip there. And how cute is that? I just love that. Okay, I just want a little longer to play with that and get everything down where I want it. Let me leave the next one here. The next one is a trifold as well, and this is just, I have some old encyclopedia paper that is from the early 1900s, like 1902, 1903, 1905, something of that nature. Let me put one that's a little odd there. Okay. I'm choosing to put right there because it covers my line of glue. I could also turn the page over and do it on the other side. I could add labels, flowers, anything else I wanted to add with this. And again, attach this with a small piece of material. Sorry, I just hit the phone, the camera. I apologize for that. I would glue a little on this side, turn it over and glue a little bit on the page, and then create a page flip with this. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to look at playing with that. And if I finish this before my next video, I will definitely show you what I ended up with. But again, let me point out, you can see where the paint is chipped off. And again, this is pitiful little cheap paint, and it's watercolor where she was using gouache. I noticed that her pen would get gunky from time to time, but it didn't do like mine. Mine got gunky, I wiped it off, and it kept working, so I do like the Uniball. But the paint does chip off. Now what I could do is I could go back and make that circle a little more denoted, and you can do that if you want to, or you could just leave it faint. I like it kind of faint, I think, rather than march so thickly on there. I like that. It gives the hint of the circles, maybe eggs that have been laid onto the leaf. Wow, isn't that cute? So one more time, this idea came to me from Engelbelle, E-N-G-E-L-B-E-L-L-E, and she does have a YouTube channel. So go check her out and see what you think. I hope this gives you ideas, and if you're an artist, go have some fun. You may already use this. I just simply saw it for the first time. I've seen leaves painted and roses painted. I've seen that before, but then to be able to pull them apart and put them in a journal as some folk artish kinds of stuff, I think just gives me a one-up and gives you a one-up, all of us a one-up, to be able to plan and do something fun with that. And if this were dry, I would do the double lines around this rose to show you exactly how she did that rose, but it's simply not dried within the time that I'm doing the video. Sorry about that. I should have done a third one so it would have been dried and ready for me to cut. Oh, well, okay. So hope you had an idea for today. Have a great week, great weekend, whenever this finds you. Enjoy your time, get joy from life. I hope you make that choice to get joy every single day and that you find it and that your days are bright and beautiful. And even when it's rainy, I hope you find the joy in that too. All right, see you next time. Thanks.